Ladies and gentlemen, if you're young, you need to hear this not tomorrow, not 5 years from now, not after you mess it all up right now. You are not late, you are not behind, and you are definitely not failing at life. The biggest lie young people are sold today is that there's a deadline on success, that if you don't have it figured out by 20, 25, or 30, somehow you missed the train. Let me tell you something real. Most people don't even know who they are until they've lived a little, lost a little, and failed a lot. And that's not weakness. That's the process. Right now, while you're young, you are sitting on the most powerful asset on earth, time. Time to try things that won't work. Time to start over. Time to suck at something and still come back tomorrow. Older people would trade every dollar they have just to get a few more years of this phase, the phase where mistakes are cheap and lessons are priceless. But instead of using that time, too many of you are wasting it comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, scrolling, watching, judging yourself, letting strangers on the internet decide your worth. When you are young, time is the one asset you have more than anything else, and most people completely misunderstand its value. They think money, connections, or talent matter more, but none of those things work without time to develop. Time allows you to try, to fail, to learn, and to start again without permanent damage. When you are young, mistakes are cheaper. You can change direction, rebuild skills, and recover emotionally and financially in ways that become harder later in life. That flexibility is not a weakness. It is the biggest advantage you will ever have. The problem is that many young people treat time casually. They assume it will always be there, so they delay action. They wait for clarity, confidence, or the perfect plan before starting. In reality, clarity only comes after action. Confidence is built through repetition. The perfect plan never arrives. Time should not be spent waiting. It should be invested. Every year you spend experimenting with different skills, industries, or ideas compounds into experience that no classroom can fully teach. Even the things that do not work out are adding value because they are shaping your judgment and sharpening your instincts. Being young also means you can afford to be bad at something in public. You can start a business that fails, create content nobody watches, apply for opportunities you are not fully qualified for, and still be fine. The world is more forgiving when you are early in your journey. What looks like embarrassment in the moment often becomes an important chapter in growth later. The people who win long-term are usually the ones who were willing to look foolish short-term while they were learning. Time also gives you the ability to think long-term, which is rare and powerful. Instead of chasing quick wins or instant validation, you can focus on building real skills, strong habits, and a deep understanding of yourself. When you stop measuring progress in weeks or months and start measuring it in years, pressure decreases and patience increases. You make better decisions because you are no longer rushing to prove something to others. Most importantly, time gives you room to become self-aware. You learn what excites you, what drains you, and what kind of life you actually want to build. That awareness does not come from thinking, it comes from living. If you waste your early years trying to look successful instead of becoming capable, you lose the biggest advantage you will ever have. When you respect time and use it intentionally, it quietly works in your favor, shaping a future that feels earned rather than rushed. Most people don't realize how much of their life is controlled by the need for approval. From a young age, you are trained to seek validation from parents, teachers, friends, and eventually strangers. Good grades, good behavior, likes, comments, titles, and money become signals that tell you whether you are doing well. The problem is that when approval becomes the goal, you slowly disconnect from who you really are. You start making decisions based on how they will be received instead of whether they are right for you. When you chase approval, you give other people power over your happiness. Their praise feels like oxygen, and their criticism feels like suffocation. This creates fear because once you depend on external validation, you avoid anything that might trigger judgment. You play safe. You follow paths that look respectable instead of ones that feel meaningful. Over time, this leads to frustration, burnout, and a quiet sense that you are living someone else's version of success. Self-awareness is the antidote to this trap. It means understanding your strengths, weaknesses, values, and motivations without filtering them through other people's opinions. When you know what you are good at and what you enjoy, you stop needing constant reassurance. You begin to trust your own judgment. This does not mean ignoring feedback or becoming arrogant. It means choosing which voices matter and which ones do not. Constructive input can help you grow, but random opinions should not dictate your direction. Living without the need for approval also frees you to be honest about your journey. You can admit when you are unsure, when you are learning, and when you fail. Instead of pretending to have it all together, you focus on progress. This honesty attracts the right opportunities and the right people because authenticity resonates more deeply than perfection. When you stop performing for approval, your energy shifts from impressing to improving. Another danger of approval seeking is that it delays action. You wait until your idea sounds smart enough, your plan looks impressive enough, or your results are visible enough to share. In reality, growth happens in the messy, unpolished stages. People who build meaningful lives act first and refine along the way. They are willing to be misunderstood because they know that clarity comes from experience, not consensus. When you choose self-awareness over approval, you reclaim control. You define success on your own terms. You move faster because you are no longer carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations. Life becomes less about proving and more about building. That shift changes not only what you do, but how it feels to wake up every day and pursue your goals. Most people are taught to fear failure as if it is a sign that something is wrong with them. From school to society, mistakes are punished, judged, and remembered, which conditions people to avoid risk. As a result, many grow up believing that failing means they are not capable, not talented, or not meant for success. This belief quietly limits growth because it encourages comfort over curiosity and safety over progress. Failure is not a verdict on your potential, it is a data point. Every time something does not work, it gives you information you could not get any other way. You learn what to avoid, what to adjust, and what actually matters. This is why failure is best understood as tuition. Just like education, it costs time, effort, and sometimes pride, but it pays back in wisdom and skill. The people who succeed long-term are not the ones who avoided failure. They are the ones who paid the tuition early and often. When you treat failure as tuition, your mindset shifts. Instead of asking, "What went wrong with me?" you start asking, "What did this teach me?" That question turns setbacks into lessons instead of scars. It allows you to detach your identity from the outcome and focus on improvement. You become more resilient because you no longer see mistakes as threats to your self-worth. Another reason failure is so valuable is that it builds emotional strength. Success without struggle creates fragile confidence. The first challenge can shatter it. Failure, on the other hand, forces you to confront discomfort, disappointment, and doubt. Each time you survive those emotions, you prove to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. That internal strength becomes a competitive advantage, especially in uncertain or high-pressure environments. Avoiding failure often leads to a bigger loss regret. When you choose safety over growth, you may feel comfortable in the short term, but over time you start wondering what could have been. Regret is heavier than failure because it offers no lessons, only unanswered questions. Trying and failing at least gives you clarity. Not trying leaves you stuck in imagination. Failure also sharpens decision-making. After making mistakes, you begin to recognize patterns, you understand timing, people, and trade-offs more clearly. This practical judgment cannot be taught through theory alone. It is earned through experience, repetition, and reflection. Each failure refines your instincts, making your future choices smarter and more intentional. When you stop seeing failure as an enemy and start seeing it as an investment, you move differently. You take calculated risks, you act faster, and you learn deeper. Over time, the accumulation of these lessons quietly builds competence, confidence, and momentum that no shortcut can replace. Many people overestimate the power of talent and underestimate the power of patience. Talent can create a fast start, but it does not guarantee a strong finish. Without patience, even the most gifted individuals often quit early, burn out, or get distracted when results do not come quickly. Patience is what allows effort to compound, and when patience is combined with consistent hard work, it becomes far more powerful than raw ability alone. Patience does not mean waiting passively or lowering ambition. It means understanding that meaningful progress takes time and being willing to show up every day, even when the progress is invisible. Most of the work that actually builds skill happens in quiet moments far away from applause or recognition. This is where many people lose motivation because they expect immediate feedback. Those who stay patient keep working through this phase, trusting the process rather than chasing quick validation. Hard work without patience often leads to frustration. You may put in intense effort for a short period and then feel discouraged when the outcome does not match your expectations. This cycle creates emotional exhaustion and self-doubt. Patience stabilizes effort. It helps you pace yourself, recover from setbacks, and continue moving forward without constantly questioning your worth or direction. When patience is paired with hard work, growth becomes exponential. Small improvements repeated daily may seem insignificant, but over time they compound into mastery. Skills deepen, judgment improves, and confidence becomes rooted in experience rather than hope. This compounding effect is invisible at first, which is why many people quit just before it starts working in their favor. Patience also protects you from comparison. When you accept that your journey is long and personal, other people's timelines lose their power over you. You stop rushing to match someone else's success and start focusing on building something sustainable. This long-term perspective leads to better decisions because you are not constantly reacting to trends, pressure, or fear of missing out. Talent can open doors, but patience determines whether you stay in the room. Many opportunities require years of preparation before they make sense. If you are impatient, you may abandon the process before those opportunities arrive. Patient people are ready when the moment comes because they have been working quietly while others were looking for shortcuts. Over time, patience combined with effort creates trust, both in yourself and from others. People begin to rely on you because you are consistent, resilient, and dependable. This reputation often matters more than talent, especially in collaborative and long-term environments. While talent can impress quickly, patience with hard work builds something far more durable, sustained success that does not collapse under pressure. Most young people spend too much time trying to meet other people's expectations instead of taking responsibility for their own lives. Society constantly tells you what you should do, what career path to follow, which milestones to hit, and how success is supposed to look. The problem is that when you live according to these external rules, you are living someone else's life, and that is a fast track to frustration and regret. True freedom comes when you stop asking permission from the world and start owning your choices completely. Owning your life means accepting that nobody owes you anything. No one is going to hand you success, happiness, or clarity on a silver platter. Your parents, friends, teachers, or the system may support you, but the ultimate responsibility for your future rests entirely on your shoulders. This can be intimidating at first, but it is also incredibly liberating. When you realize that you are the author of your story, you regain control. You can decide where to go, what to pursue, and how hard you are willing to work to get there. You are no longer a passive observer. You are an active participant. Taking responsibility also means being honest with yourself. You must confront your strengths, weaknesses, passions, and fears without sugarcoating reality. Excuses, blame, and avoidance are the enemies of growth. If you want to build a life worth living, you have to be willing to do the uncomfortable work, reflecting deeply, making difficult decisions, and committing to action even when it feels risky. The moment you stop blaming circumstances or other people, you unlock the power to change everything about your life. This accountability drives action. When you know that only you are responsible for your outcomes, you stop waiting for external validation or permission. You move faster, take more initiative, and are willing to experiment. You embrace challenges because every experience, good or bad, is yours to learn from. Waiting for someone else to guide you or approve your choices only wastes the most valuable resource you have, time. Owning your life also means prioritizing your values over societal definitions of success. You decide what matters most, whether it is freedom, creativity, impact, wealth, or personal growth. When your choices align with your own priorities, life becomes more fulfilling and less stressful. You stop chasing goals that look impressive on the outside but leave you empty on the inside. Instead, you focus on building the life that resonates with who you truly are. Finally, taking full responsibility cultivates resilience and confidence. You become capable of navigating setbacks because you know that every problem is yours to solve and every victory is yours to celebrate. You learn to trust yourself, to make decisions even when the path is uncertain, and to keep moving forward no matter what. The more you embrace this mindset early in life, the stronger your foundation becomes for everything you want to achieve. If you're young, remember this: your time is priceless, your mistakes are lessons, and your life is yours to own. Stop chasing approval, embrace failure, be patient, and take full responsibility for every choice you make. The earlier you start, the further you can go, and the more control you take over your future. This is your moment. Use it wisely, act boldly, and build a life that's truly yours. Thank you